Israel has warned it will resume intense fighting in Gaza if Hamas fails to release prisoners by Saturday. The threat follows a similar warning from US President Donald Trump, who said hell would break out if all Israeli prisoners were not freed. The ceasefire deal, which halted over 15 months of conflict, involved phased prisoner swaps, but tensions have escalated over delays. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu declared that if Hamas does not comply, the ceasefire will end and Israel will push for Hamas' decisive defeat. His finance minister Bezalel Smotrich echoed this, demanding the immediate return of all hostages and rejecting further phased exchanges. Hamas, however, accuses Israel of violating the deal and says it will delay the next prisoner release. Senior Hamas leader Sami Abu Zuhri insists the agreement must be upheld by both sides. Meanwhile, the Israeli military has raised its alert level and increased troop reinforcements near Gaza. Yemen's Houthi rebels have also threatened intervention if the conflict escalates. UN Chief Antonio Guterres has urged Hamas to proceed with the release, warning that renewed hostilities would cause immense tragedy. According to AFP, the UN has said Bangladesh's former government was behind systematic attacks and killings of protesters as it tried to hold onto power last year, warning that the abuses could amount to crimes against humanity. Before Sheikh Hasina was toppled in a student-led revolution last August, her government cracked down on protesters and others, including by hundreds of extrajudicial killings, the UN said. The UN Rights Office said it had reasonable grounds to believe that the crimes against humanity of murder, torture, imprisonment, and infliction of other inhuman acts have taken place. These alleged crimes committed by the government, along with the violent elements of Hasina's Awami League Party and the Bangladeshi security and intelligence services, were part of a widespread and systematic attack against protesters and other civilians, the report said. OHCHR estimated that as many as 1,400 people may have been killed, most of them shot by Bangladesh's security forces. The report also found indications of gender-based violence, the abuse and killing of children, and retaliatory violence against police and Awami League supporters. The UN called for accountability and reform to prevent future rights violations. Pakistan's economic and diplomatic engagements gained momentum as Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif met IMF Managing Director Kristalina Georgieva during his visit to the UAE. The IMF chief reaffirmed support for Pakistan's reform-driven economic strategy, highlighting improvements in growth and inflation control. The meeting coincided with an ongoing IMF review of Pakistan's governance and regulatory framework under the $7 billion extended fund facility. The premier emphasized structural reforms, fiscal discipline, and economic stability as key drivers of recovery. The visit, held on the sidelines of the World Government Summit in Dubai, also saw discussions on future economic strategies. Further strengthening Pakistan's economic standing, Finance Minister Mohammad Aurangzeb shared that the IMF chief commended the government's leadership in implementing critical reforms. Speaking at an SECP conference, he noted that structural changes in taxation, energy, and public finance have been central to stabilizing the economy.
We have not waited for the structural reforms, whether it's on the taxation side or on the energy side, SOE reforms, and public finance, in terms of right-sizing the federal government, in terms of the pension reforms, and everything else associated with that.
Meanwhile, International Atomic Energy Agency Director General Rafael Grossi met Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif. Discussions revolved around Pakistan's long-standing partnership with the IAEA and the peaceful applications of nuclear technology in healthcare, agriculture, and industry. The Prime Minister reaffirmed Pakistan's commitment to using atomic energy for sustainable development and climate adaptation. Grossi also met Deputy Prime Minister Ishaq Dar to discuss nuclear energy's role in climate mitigation and financial frameworks.